7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Pinche Gringo Show. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a great show for you tonight. If you don't think that one Pinche Gringo is enough, we have multiple Pinche Gringos on the show for you tonight. 3 heartthrobs and all of their admirers, like Dulce from Durango. I love you, Fort Quarterman. But before we get to that, this little web program grew up this week after being mentioned yesterday in Slate, a very popular online news magazine in the United States. Were we mentioned because of my good looks? No. Was it for hard news stories and investigative journalism that could potentially earn us a Peabody? Not quite. We were mentioned in Slate magazine because of this jacket, and because the guy wearing this jacket is a super rad dude. The article mentions Tefasi as an American expat in Mexico City. This guy owns the self-deprecatingly named Pinche Gringo restaurant and hosts the show by the same name, which translates, the Los Angeles Times noted, as not quite an F-bomb, but a crasser version of freaking gringo. I hate you! Dan, you're a bleeping gringo! But I will remind our audience that according to the Real Academia de la Lengua Española, pinche is the assistant to the chef. It's a proper word in Spanish dictionary. It's not bad. You can say it to your grandma. Anyway, I'll continue with the Slate article. When Landau appeared on the Pinche Gringo Show, he sported what he called an Austin Powers jacket, complete with green paisleys, joking that he needed to be hip for the audience. So, thank you, Ambassador, for thinking the Pinche Gringo Show. And yes, you, the viewers, are hip. You know what? You're a rad dude too. But let's go to the top stories. Let's talk now about that pesky little bug that's been traveling around the world, bothering people left and right. No, it's not a mosquito. Let's talk about COVID, especially in Mexico, where the crisis is just like after your 5th shot of tequila. It just keeps getting worse with the continued number of infected deaths, and head of government of Mexico City, Claudia Sheinbaum, threatening to put the city back into a red light situation if people just don't wear their fucking masks. I just wish Claudia Sheinbaum's real name was Roxanne, because if it was, I would just tell her, Roxanne, you don't have to put on the red light. That's right, Roxanne Claudia Sheinbaum, please don't put back on the red lights. And please, Chilangos, put on your damn masks. But while the jefe de jefes was warning us about COVID, the president was talking about the plane. That's right, the president on Monday did his usually daily morning press conference in an airport hangar after the presidential plane returned to Mexico because nobody wanted it. Like an infomercial for rich people. I have here a plane, all leather seats, 4 bathrooms, only $130 million. I mean, that's hard. I can't even get anyone to buy this couch I've been selling. And I'm wondering, Mr. President, if you've tried Craigslist. I know it's pretty outdated and sketchy, but you have to put it out there. Let more people know about it. Also, if I wanted to take it for a test flight, I mean, $130 million, I want to try it first. And I have a question, is there a return policy? Just asking, for a friend actually. But for more on this, let's go to Pinche Gringo Show correspondent Javier Negrete, who went out in Mexico City to hear more about what people think of this plane in our segment we call Chilangoland.
Hello Dan, you know where I am? This is Mexico City. This time I'm here to ask the people, who would they do with such an airplane as the president is trying to sell or give away or wherever? So come with me.
Creo que mejor lo vendes, ¿no? Alguien que sí lo ocupe, porque si no es más pérdida para ti que ganancia. Entonces mejor moverlo y sacarle provecho real a ese dinero.
Lo vendería también. Sí.
¿Y ese dinero?
Lo repartiría en mi familia, el mío y el viaje.
No participaría en la rifa.
Pues solamente para tomar fotos para redes sociales.
¿Dónde lo pondría? En la avenida, en la avenida.
¿Dónde? Solamente que lo desarmaran y me lo llevaran a mi casa. Esa es una locura, o sea, es como de caricatura, como un cuento. ¿Dónde lo vas a poner?
Buena pregunta. En el Monte de Piedad.
Gracias.
Look, Mr. President, I get it. How can you spend $130 million on a plane when millions of people are in poverty? And I understand, it's great politics too. But why do you hate planes and airports so much? I mean, I'm sure your predecessor told you there was a no return policy, right? And my dad always told me, never buy a new car because it loses 25% of its value when you drive it out of the dealership. So you just lost $32 million already. And besides, maybe the next president will want it. So just save it, turn it into a museum or a restaurant. Maybe we can open up a Pinche Gringo in there. That would be awesome. And let the next guy deal with it. But in US news, the only thing in the world that is talked about even now more than COVID is, that's right, Donald Trump. So you've been water skiing in Tequis de Tango, or I have Tequis, or taking a hike in front of the Popocatépetl? Guys, can you stop writing Nahuatl into the script? You know I can't say it. It's Montezuma's revenge. We just can't say Nahuatl words. I can't do it. But let me give you a rundown of the extraordinary things that have happened this past week. First, it seemed like the president had a reckoning, a change of heart, a decision to change course. With his declining poll numbers due to the shrinking economy and rapidly increasing COVID infections, it appeared he did the equivalent of what we know in Mexico of going to a temazcal and taking ayahuasca with a shaman. He started supporting the use of masks and talking more about the seriousness of the virus in the US, focusing on the promotion of Goya products that stereotype Mexican food like stuffed peppers, Mexican style in a box. This hope was short-lived when this week he shared a video on Twitter from a group called America's Frontline Doctors. In this video, they stated that there was a cure for COVID-19 and telling people not to wear masks. Of course, due to the president's popularity and following, the video got 1 million hits before being taken down to the inaccuracies. So first, there's no cure. And second, face masks have been proven by world governments and scientists everywhere that they are essential. Furthermore, the doctor speaking in the video has been seen in other videos claiming that alien DNA has been used in past medical treatments. Then just this morning, the president put out an astonishing tweet suggesting canceling the November election due to the possibility of fraud because the states are giving people the ability to mail in their ballots instead of risking their health and safety to do it in person, sparking condemnation not only from Democrats, but prominent members of their own party. The point here, and this is a strong message to my fellow Mexicans, that maybe things aren't as bad in nuestro país as you think they are. I prefer talking about planes than undermining democracy by canceling an election. But last week signaled the return of many sports leagues to Major League Baseball in an incredible opening weekend that captured the minds and attention of those who missed America's favorite pastime. Unfortunately, there were no fans in the seats, replaced by cardboard cutouts and piping in crowd cheers and music to recreate an experience for the players. All seemed to be safe until on Saturday, 4 players of the Miami Marlins tested positive for COVID and were immediately isolated, but the team continued to play. Then over the course of the next 4 days, a total of 17 players and 2 coaches tested positive for the virus, forcing the cancellation of an entire week of games. This raised new questions about the safety and security of resuming the season. However, all games are continuing, and hoping you enjoyed last week's episode where 2 New Yorkers yelled at each other about which local team was better. Mets are better than the Yankees. I think I won, or maybe he won. Well, I mean, the Yankees are better, but, you know, tune into the episode. In Mexico, La Liga MX resumed play last weekend as well, with similar setup of no fans and lots of testing. The league welcomed a newly relocated team, the Mazatlan Football Club, after a long 70-year stint as the Monarcas of Morelia, moving the team only 2 days before their anniversary, causing mass protests and sadness among local supporters. They were like, screw this, I'm going to the beach, all inclusive, baby. But the incredible story in this young season focuses on the team from Tijuana, the Xolos. Yes, that ugly, hairless dog. You think maybe its owner shaved them as a fashion statement. Or maybe God was mad that day. I don't know. You look at it, you feel sorry, then you decide, all right, it's cute enough, but petting it, not so fun. I mean, who likes petting sandpaper? So the club signed new goalkeeper Jonathan Orozco to the team. And it's customary for a new player to choose his number unless it's taken by another player, in which seniority and skill come into an account. And the more accomplished player usually gets to take the number they want. But in this instance, there was one major problem. Orozco's request was for number 1, but it was taken already, not by a player, but by owner Jorge Alberto Hank. What? First of all, why does an owner have a number? Isn't this for officials to identify players on the field and help TV announcers during the game? Hank, or Mr. Hank, you're the owner already. We know you're number 1. And Jonathan, he's the owner. He's paying the bills. Doesn't he get to do what he wants? But he said, and I quote, I don't want to play with another number, and I haven't even given a thought about it. I mean, my child's birthday is the 28th. My wife's birthday is the 30th, and mine is the 12th, but I'm still number 1. So my initial thought to resolve this is for both of them to take their shoes off and measure them, see which one is bigger, or maybe go into your garden, grow cucumbers, and then take the cucumbers, pick them, and then see which one grows the biggest. The larger one would get the number 1. I mean, it seems logical, but they didn't take my advice. Orozco purchased this number for an unspecified amount to the team owner, and all he said was, it was a lot. So what do you think, guys? Was it A, less than 100,000 pesos, B, between 100 and 500,000, or C, was it more than 500,000 pesos? Please let me know in your comments section here on Facebook. Join our YouTube channel and let us know. What do you think? I mean, I don't know, 150,000 pesos? I mean, what is it worth in number 1? But on to our main focus tonight. We need a little bit of a break from the crazy, and let's talk about something a bit more light. Gringos in Latin America. We have on the show 3 Americans that have created incredible presence on social media in places like Mexico, Peru, Paraguay, by sharing their deep love for their respective countries and winning fans who love to hear about their travels and experiences. So we're now joined by Ford Quarterman from Where's the Gringo, Clayton Curl from also known as Gringasho, and Chad Udstrom, known online as El Chad. Together, along with another Americans, they form a YouTube team called Los Gringos TV. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. How you guys doing?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're all together. This is great. So correct me if I'm wrong, but you have over 2 million accumulated followers on your social media. That shows you can really influence a lot of people and influence the conversation. How do you guys feel about this incredible power, right? And influence 2 million people?
Yeah, it's pretty insane to think about the reach that's out there in terms of organic reach. We all have our individual channels, and we also have our group channel as well, and it's pretty cool because they're kind of spanning all types of countries throughout the Western Hemisphere, throughout America, the American continent, North, Central, and South, from Mexico, United States, Central, and South America. So it's pretty cool to have a pretty unified audience online and to be able to create some inspiring stuff for them.
That's amazing. So tell me about the demographic, guys, of your followers. I know you have a lot of followers from Latin America, but as you mentioned, you have many American followers, and it seems that you do your content in both English and Spanish so that you can bring everybody together. Tell us more about this chat and what it looks like.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, on our shared account, Los Gringos TV, we have something like 40% American following, 40 or 50. It keeps going up, which is great. And we've experimented a lot with English videos, just English videos, not even with subtitles. And we've gotten some good reactions from it. We're in a complicated situation where we need to be putting subtitles on videos in English and in Spanish. So it's interesting to experiment and see what works and what doesn't. But yeah, our main objective is to unite the Americas as a whole and bridge gaps between Latin America and the average American, essentially.
Yep.
I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting because it's cool to teach a lot of North Americans about Latin culture, right? Because most of the time, as Americans, unfortunately, we don't really necessarily think outside of our border. And it's cool to kind of teach and show them how cool and amazing not only the food, but the culture, the music, the people, the history, and vice versa. Teach Latins that are curious about what's life like in America, or how your family, how was your upbringing. What's also interesting is to be creative, to come up with an idea, write it down, film it, edit it, then post it to the internet and see it be well received is something that's very, I don't know, it's powerful. It's powerful as a creator, as an artist, I would say, and very, very rewarding.
Right. I mean, a phone call and you tell them that you're in Mexico, and then the person on the other line says, "Wait, New Mexico? No.
Right.
I live in Mexico. There's like another country south of the border." Now, you guys see that like there's a lot of American stereotypes about Latin America. You've heard it when you go home, right? People telling you to be safe when things are just as dangerous in the U.S. But there's also the other way around, where people in Latin America have stereotypes about the U.S. and Americans. Well, what have you faced and what have you heard from people in those things, Ford?
Yeah, without getting too much into politics, I mention any names because I think you do a pretty good job of talking about the politics and mentioning the names. Unfortunately, most people in the United States think that we all agree with all of the actions of our government at all times. And what we really strive to do, and I really think that the power of social media is showing that not everyone agrees with the government. There's a difference, como dicen en español, entre el pueblo y el gobierno. There's a difference between the people of a country and the government of a country. And sometimes it's kind of hard to shake that stereotype, because initially a lot of people do think, unfortunately, not everyone, but a lot of people do think in Latin America that, Latino immigrants or Latinos in general aren't appreciated, that, we all think that they come to steal jobs or commit crimes. And that's just not the case. I would say that most gringos, most people in the United States don't believe that, actually. And it's really great to show through our content, not just that we don't believe that, but the hermandad, like amistad, the friendship that can exist between a gringo, a guy from the United States, and Latinos. And that's pretty consistent in our content across all of our channels, as we really highlight our interactions with the Latino people, our experiences eating their food and dancing, salsa and merengue, and basically just having a good time and chopping it up with them, whether it be in Spanish or English. And we hope it to be an eye-opening message. So.
Right, and also a lot of Mexicans are close to the United States. There's a lot of influence and a lot of familiarity with our culture. It's a lot easier to get to. But you guys, especially you chat in Paraguay, it's definitely another world away. And I'm sure that people have an interest or about American culture. What have you seen in Paraguay?
Paraguay is very interesting, and just as a whole, us three have been to every country in Latin America, so we like to show the differences between country to country to other Latinos, because Argentinians don't even know anything about Paraguay and their neighbors. They share a border as well, Brazilians and Bolivians. But I fell in love with Paraguay. It's actually the 17th Spanish-speaking country that I visited. I went there on a whim just to stay for like a week, and I was just immediately fell in love and stayed on and off for like 2 years. But honestly, it really is an island surrounded by land. Paraguay is. I was treated so well there. The people were so nice to me because they don't get a lot of tourism. And basically what they know about the United States is whatever they see on Netflix or hear in music. And honestly, they don't listen to that much American music. Paraguay is a very interesting country because it's very different than the rest of Latin America. Like, their indigenous language is the first language. So they speak a mix of Guarani and Spanish, which is called Jopara, which means mezcla in Guarani. So just everything about Paraguay is super weird, but it's like it's so endearing in every way. I loved it so much. So that's why I ended up staying. and that's just why it stood out in my travels to me. But as far as American stereotypes, it's the typical stuff like hamburgers, hot dogs, and French fries, McDonald's. Nothing bad though, really. There's no animosity towards Americans in Paraguay, that's for sure. Except from a very fringe minority.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in Brazil, always there was American music on the radio. And I feel like in Mexico, there's not as much because there's so much penetration of American culture. It's kind of like kind of pushing it out a little bit to preserve Mexican culture. But what about Peru? What is it like in that realm? And what has your interaction been with Peruvians as an American there?
Interesting question. American culture is king in Peru, actually. Everything from movies to music. It's always kind of, and I don't necessarily agree with this, but American is like culture is like the standard, right? So they look up to it a lot. And that shows through history with the history of Peru, and kind of similar in Mexico, no? With the conquest of Spanish and how the indigenous people were treated. But stereotypes that I deal with a lot were, oh, you guys don't have typical food. Like you don't have, all you guys eat is McDonald's. Gringos don't know how to dance. Gringos don't play soccer. Those are things that I dealt with a lot where like I come from a culture in the state here in the United States where we have very typical food. I come from I was in a soccer academy till I was 3, and I grew up in a family that loves to dance. And so it was kind of fun for me to like hear those things and interact and like kind of like, oh, maybe you're right. And then kind of just like show instead of like through words, but through actions, like, all right, let's play some soccer, or let's go to the dance floor and check it out.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it seems like that you have an opportunity to like make a meaningful impact and share great stories. Do you have a meaningful story where you felt like the work you were doing was really making a difference in the communities that, I mean, 2 million people, that's an entire country, right? Or it's like entire cities full of people that you are touching every day. Ford, does something come to mind to you? Something like an incredible thing that made an impact in your mind?
Well, it's really encouraging when you make like really meaningful videos about kind of social issues to see all the feedback that you get online. But something that I guess like more of like a real world experience that sticks out to me is building houses in the slum in Xochimilco. And Xochimilco is, everyone knows it in Mexico City as you know, the trajineras and the canals. It's actually the only place left in Mexico City that still has the remnants of the original canals from Tenochtitlan, which was the Aztec capital. And today it's kind of, you know, a tourist destination, as I'm sure everyone in Mexico knows, that people go and drink and listen to mariachi music and stuff. But actually the part that's not really shown too much by the tourism boards is an enormous slum there. And a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to go with an organization called Techos para mi país. And we just built, you know, very simple houses there, and just, you know, giving back is just, it's amazing. And seeing the look on the families' faces, and these little kids' faces, these people that live in extreme poverty. They live in extreme poverty by the world standards, less than $2.50 a day. And they've never had a house. They've had like a tent or, you know, like a pile of trash that they even live in. And being able to create a house for them is something that will always stick with me. And when we kind of slapped up that final wall and put the final nails in and gave them the keys to their house, I'll never forget the look on their faces. And it's, you know, something that I look forward to getting back involved with. But something really cool, I got to brag on my friend here, Gringasho, the Gringo Peruano, my friend over here. He did a really awesome project this past year called Chapa tu basura, which is like slang in Peruvian Spanish for like pick up your trash, throw your trash away. And I'll let Clayton talk more about it, but he essentially did an awesome project raising awareness and environmental awareness and stewardship. Clayton, why don't you tell them about it, man? Awesome way to get back to your country.
We'd love to hear about this.
Yeah, kind of like what Ford was saying. I've done every type of video, you know. I've done some comedy, I've done some stupid things, I've done some fun things, some interesting cultural things to try to teach Latinos and Peruvians to be really proud of who they are, where they come from. But it came down to I really wanted to give back, and I've seen the need of just people not seeing the importance of littering and really being firsthand knowing and seeing that it's just because they're not taught. And if they are taught, they're taught that it's like not really cool. It's like, I'm cool, I'm the man if I like to throw it wherever I want to throw the trash kind of sort of attitude. And so I felt like I had a responsibility with this huge following, you know, to teach the people something, at least instead of like showing, look how cool my life is, what can I teach them? And it came to me one day, I was on a bus and I saw a family throw a bunch of trash out the window of a bus traveling in between cities in Peru. And yeah, I ran 1,600 miles in 115 days. So that's like the equivalent of anyone who's here from the United States. That's like running from Miami to Portland, Maine in 115 days. It's an average of 16 miles a day. And to be honest, it was the hardest thing. Running was easy. Like, I love running. But I ran to raise awareness because every major city I would get to, we would do a trash cleanup. And we did 23 trash cleanups where we picked up 72 tons of trash. And there was one activity where 5,000 people came to a trash cleanup. And it was like, the hardest part for me was like trying to control 5,000 people. And then, you know, with that 5,000 people, you go pick up 2 tons. Then what do you do? Then you got to go talk to the local leaders and get them to come pick it up and decide how you're going to get rid of it. And anyways, the whole logistical conversation, but it was really cool for me. And the last day when I finished and my family was there and I gave my dad a big hug, I was really emotional crying. And it was for me, it will be something that I remember forever, you know, whether or not I have 1 million, 10 million, whatever followers or views, I'll always remember that I ran the entire coast of Peru and raised awareness against littering and try to take care of Mother Earth, you know?
Yeah, wow, that's awesome, guys. Listen, we're running out of time, but I have another question that I really want to ask you guys. What are you saying to maybe people who will say that you guys are Americans going down to Latin America, and like America thinks they're better, like all that chatter? Like, what do you say to that? How do you answer that? Chad, you want to take that?
I don't get a whole lot of that. I get that from the fringe. They actually think I'm like a CIA agent and I'm there to steal their water and learn their language, to investigate what they're doing. But I don't know. We get that sometimes, but very limited, honestly. I would think it would come more from maybe other travelers or other Americans. Like, look at these guys. Like, they only think they can be cool, like in a foreign country or something. But I think we take it in stride. We've learned to deal with any sort of hater. So it's really no big deal because 99.9% of the people are on our team, I think.
And I would just say, you know, you can just tell, you know, what we're doing. It's not that we're becoming rich. We're not becoming filthy rich at 30 to 35 years old at what we do and why we do, you know, just look at what we do. It's not really to become millionaires. We're not becoming billionaires down there. I think we really have a passion. We really have a love. And we found that, you know, it makes us happy. And we love being happy and we love doing it. And sure, we make a little bit of money off of YouTube, but, you know, you got to make a little bit of money to live. But we're not becoming billionaires, we're not becoming millionaires. And we've shown and proved that we're passionate and we love it. And like Chad said, haters gonna hate. I mean, there's always gonna be people that are against you in a way or two, but you just can't take it personally.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I would just add just one last part, Dan, that I think the content kind of just really speaks for itself. I mean, of course, we pride ourselves in being charismatic and trying to have good stage presence and produce our videos well. Absolutely. But through the content of our videos, it really just kind of speaks for itself because it's true. It's the truth. There's things in Mexico. There's things in Peru. There's things in Paraguay, all throughout Latin America that the United States doesn't have. And we document that. We just document that, and we present essentially reality. Essentially, what we have is kind of a reality show presented through social media. So when people say, "Oh, why would you go down there? It's a step down in quality in every way," it's like, really? Well, do you have these type of pyramids down up there in the United States? Do you have this type of tradition with the mariachi bands? Can you ride a tequila train through the Jalisco countryside and go to the oldest distillery in Latin America? Can you do all these things in the United States? You really can't, you know, and it speaks for itself, really. And it's a pleasure to transmit it to the world.
Yeah, I would love to talk to you guys a bit more, but 15 seconds each. Tell me this. What is one thing that you would want Americans to know more about of what you've learned in Latin America? 15 seconds each.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
Latin America is not just Mexico, and it's not just one country. There are so many different countries, so many different languages spoken, and so many different traditions, and it's beautiful. Not safe. Sorry, not dangerous, but very safe and fun to travel to.
Absolutely. Chad?
I could say the food thing. Mexican food always gets lumped in with every other Latin country, and Mexican food is the only food that's actually spicy. I mean, maybe a little bit in Peru for some dishes, a tiny bit, but not really. The gastronomy in each country is very different from country to country.
Right. What about you, Ford? Why don't you finish it up? One thing you want people to know.
I would just say that it's important for Americans to realize that Mexico is not just the next country down. It's not just our neighbor country, but it is in fact one of the greatest countries in the entire world. In every single thing that you look for in a country, it has the total package. I have been, not everywhere, but I've been a lot of places, almost every continent, and Mexico has something special, and it's time to appreciate Mexico and their influence they have on us as a country. We're not the only country that influences south of the border. You know, we increasingly have more and more Latinos, more and more Latino culture here, impact on our country, the changing face of the United States, and it's not going to stop. So you have to accept that it's a reality that's coming, and it's better to embrace it than to deny it.
Absolutely, and I'm with you, Ford, on that. In last week's show, we talked about this. And what we talked about was that if it's not an economic powerhouse, that's not the only important thing in life in the world, because what country has better music and culture and color and biodiversity? And I know that that places like Peru and Paraguay and other places in Latin America share that love for life, right? And love for the vibrance and culture of life. And I just want to say, guys, what you guys are doing is incredible and awesome about building bridges, sharing cultures with people, and really educating fellow Americans and also Latinos about different cultures. That's when we all come together and we have a better world. So thank you guys for doing that. Thank you guys for being on the show tonight. Really appreciate you being with us.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Great.
Appreciate it, Dan.
God bless.
All right, well, we share on the show delicious sandwiches, events, reopenings, but we have yet to highlight the star of the show, the brisket. That's right. The beautiful breast of the cow, or in Spanish, pecho de la vaca. So let's touch base with commercial director and Pinche Gringo Show correspondent, Laila Garcia Mora, to talk about this delicious slow-cooked meat. Laila, how are you? Where are we, Laila? Live TV, we love it. Up?
Here I am.
Hey, there you are, Laila. How are you? I'm so glad to see you, because live TV is crazy, because the teleprompter, the whole show is like right under the camera. So I'm like, I'm so happy that we get to talk to each other in real time. How are you today? Laila, this brisket, no manches. I know, I can see it, I can smell it, and I have it next to me.
Where are you?
That in a second. I'm going to bring it out. But tell us more about this brisket.
Well, brisket, it's our main star. Brisket, it's the reason that Pinche Gringo is here in Mexico, to show this to this amazing country. So I don't have to explain it because I'm not the expert, but let's go with the main expert of Pinche Gringo, or pitmaster, to talk about this. Hi, we're here with Miguel Angel, one of our main and most talented pitmasters, and we're here to talk about the star of Pinche Gringo, that it's the brisket itself. So I know a lot about this meat, Miguel, but there is no one that can explain better than you the anatomy and how a perfectly smoked brisket should look.
Okay, well, hi everyone. We have a piece of meat here that we select every night. We trim in all the fat, and we do the right cut on this meat. After do the job for trimming all the fat, taking excess the meat and try cut it perfectly. What we're doing after that is we mix in the spices and we put it on the brisket. We cook it for like 14 to 16 hours, depends on the production that we have, depends on the meats, the piece of meat that we put on the smoker. We cook it for 14 hours at 250 degrees all night long. we got people working nights, making sure we get the constantly temperature and making sure we get it perfectly. After that, we're gonna get a piece of meat perfect cooked with a smoked ring. We caramelize the fat on the paint and on the flat too. It's perfectly a nice color. This meat is ready to eat. You get it cut perfectly juicy. This piece of meat is real hard to cook. That's why we take too long in making sure it's a lowest cook to get perfectly.
That looks amazing, Miguel. Thank you very much. And I can't wait to have a piece of that brisket.
Guess what, Lila? You're gonna have to wait a little longer, but I'm eating that brisket right now.
And how is it? Do you want to describe it?
It's delicious. I mean, it's so good. And it was sitting next to me for like 15 minutes before the show, and just smelling it the whole time. I mean, I've been eating this for 6.5 years, and I'm pretty sick of it, but it still is good. So
That's why you look very handsome every day, because of the brisket, like all the proteins that it brings to you.
Right.
That's how.
Well, no doctors anywhere say that a brisket a day keeps the COVID away, right? I'm just waiting for someone to announce that brisket is the cure of COVID.
They should. We have brisket almost every day, and we're super healthy.
Oh yeah! All right. That does it for this edition of Pinche Gringo Show. We hope you enjoy it as much as we have. I shouldn't be eating brisket while I'm doing this, but we are always here Thursday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central in Mexico. So join us next week, same time, same place on YouTube and Facebook. Have a great night.